Alrighty guys, welcome back to Camp Puga. This video is going to be a pre-recording. I just decided to go live because it gives a better quality on that video. If you're watching, great. If you're not, it's okay. It's gonna stay on the Camp Puga anyways. I said I would do a pre-recording, but we're getting better quality if we do it this way. Are you the one watching? You're more than welcome to share this video to enter into the giveaway. Hi Gina, thank you for watching. We just decided to do this video so we can leave it on the channel. We know tomorrow is Easter, but this video will still be on there for you all to enjoy. I was gonna do a pre-recording, but I decided to just do it live because we get a little bit of better quality on the video when we do it like this. So I wanna go ahead and get started. We are going to be making pizza dough today. On the toppings and all that, it is going to be your choice. Even on your sauce, you can do a red or a white sauce. I myself am just going to teach you how to make the dough from scratch. And then you can do this video, post pictures of you making pizza. I want to actually shout out to Gina. A year ago today was our first official video. And what are the odds that we're doing pizza all over again? When we did it then, we did a pre-made crust and we kind of just threw the toppings and made it more kid-friendly. And today we're actually at the milestone where we are making the dough from scratch. So we've come a long way. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's talk a little bit about our ingredients that we're gonna be using today. So we are going to be using 1 package of rapid rise yeast. So this yeast comes in 3 packs. It's about $1.50 in the baking aisle. You're only going to be using one of the packages. You're going to leave the other 2 to use at another time. I will tell you that I've made all 3 packages, and I've probably made about 2, 4, 6 medium-sized pizzas just from using these 3 packages. So this pizza here will give you a pretty large pizza. If you want to divide it in half, you can probably get 2 medium size or 1 extra large pizza, depending on how you want to do it. This recipe will make about 1 extra large or 2 medium sized pizzas. And it's a really simple recipe. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ingredients to making your pizza dough. So let's go ahead and talk about our ingredients. We are going to use our rapid rise yeast. Again, find this in the baking aisle. You're going to use 1 teaspoon of white sugar. You're going to use 1 teaspoon of white sugar. You're going to do 1 cup of water. You're going to want to make sure it's warm water. I'm going to put it in this bowl here, and we're going to actually put the yeast in there. I'm going to do 2 tablespoons of oil. So I'm going to grab my oil here. I'm using avocado oil. And then I'm going to do 1 teaspoon of salt. So I have my little salt pepper dispenser here. So I'm going to go ahead and use that. So I'm going to go ahead and mix this in a bowl. Usually I would do this in kind of like a blender, or I would do it in a food processor just to make it a lot quicker. The other day I made about 14 to 15 pizzas for a family party that I did. So you can do it like that. I'm going to do it in a bowl here because I'm pretty sure most of you are going to be doing it in the bowl. So let's go ahead and do it in this bowl here. So let's go ahead and get started. What I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to get 1 cup of warm water separately, not in my big bowl. I'm going to get 1 cup of warm water in my small bowl here. Now you are going to want to make sure it is warm water. It's warm to the touch. The reason you want to do warm water is because it'll help reactivate your yeast. Yeast is a living or a microorganism, so it pretty much needs warm water to be activated. Even though this is a rapid rise yeast, you still will need to kind of activate it to get it going. So the warm water is kind of give it that warm bath. And then we're going to feed it a little bit by adding the sugar, and it's going to give it that food to want to produce. So if you're using regular yeast, then you would put it for sure in warm water and you would let it start activating. because we are using rapid rise, it's gonna do it all on its own. So there are different kinds of yeast, and that's probably a video I should post about on how to learn about the different yeast. But today we are using rapid rise. I'm gonna go ahead and put it in this warm water. I'm gonna go ahead and get all of that out. And then I am gonna add my 1 teaspoon of sugar to my yeast mixture here. So what this is gonna do is this is gonna help activate the yeast. And what you'll start to see in a little bit, is the yeast is gonna start foaming up a little bit. That all it means is that it's activating. You don't really need to wait a certain amount of time with rapid rise. It's gonna already start doing its thing in that warm water. So we're gonna go ahead and get everything else ready, and then we'll go ahead and get started with that. We rinse off all that yeast from there. I'll leave the spoon in there. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to our next steps. We are gonna start with our 2.5 cups of flour. Now you are welcome to use, what is this? You are welcome to use AP flour, bread flour. Most likely, I always like to use is AP flour. The thing that bread flour or any different kind of flour is gonna do, it's gonna already have additive leaveners in it. So using AP flour, it's not gonna have as much leavening agent in it, kind of why we're using the yeast, but you can use AP flour for pretty much anything, which is great. I carry it with me at all times because I can use it for a lot of things. Here's 1/2 cup. So I need 4 more of these to make it a 2 cup. I have to use a smaller one to kind of get in there. That's 1 cup. One and a half. Two cups. And just fill this one up, and it'll be 2.5 cups of what we're looking for. Okay. So I have 2.5 cups of flour here. I'm gonna go ahead and add 2 tablespoons of oil. 1, 2. And then I'm going to add a teaspoon of salt, which is about 2 pinches of salt. Just like that. And then what I am going to do on mine is I'm gonna add a little bit of Italian seasoning, just to give it that extra taste for my dough. You can go ahead and leave it plain if you want. You can add some peppers to it. You can add different kind of spices to it to kind of give it that different kind of taste. You're more than welcome to do it however you please. I'm gonna go ahead and get a wooden spoon here, and I'm gonna go ahead and mix up these ingredients first. Just like that. Okay, now what I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm gonna go ahead and add my mixture here. So this has my yeast, it has the water that I need, and it has the sugar that I need for this recipe. Okay, so what I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm gonna go ahead and start mixing this. It's gonna turn into a dough. If it's a little sticky, it's okay, because I'm still going to knead it out on my own when it's all incorporated. All right, so what I'm gonna go ahead and do, it's all pretty well incorporated. What I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm gonna flour my surface here. I'm gonna pour it out, and then I'm gonna start kneading it with my hand little by little until it starts softening up. And then we'll move on to the next step. Again, guys, this is a really simple recipe. Again, it's a little crumbled up. crumbled up, I guess you can say. So I'm gonna take all this off, and then I'm gonna start combining it together with my hands. And it'll start coming together little by little. If it feels like it's a little too sticky, you can go ahead and add a little bit of flour to it. If it feels like if it's too wet, if it's too wet, too sticky, you can add flour to it. If it's too dry, you can add a tablespoon at a time of water, and then you can go ahead and get the consistency you're looking for. What you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna mix this until you kind of get all the little bread rocks out of it, like little pieces of dough. Just like that. All I'm gonna do is add these little pieces to the center there. Okay, just start mixing it. So we've done this a little bit previously with tortillas, different recipes where we do dough. I'm gonna teach you a little bit on how to knead your dough all together. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna use the palm of your hand, you're gonna press down on it and kind of push out. You're gonna give it that pulling sensation, pulling tip. Whatever you pulled out, you're gonna go ahead and fold over, turn your dough, and then you're gonna knead it back out like that. So you're gonna flip that over, turn it around, squish. Once you kind of get the hang of it, you can get it done quicker and faster. All right, so we're pretty much done here. We have our Italian seasoning in there. It's a pretty squishy dough. It's pretty good. What you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna get a separate bowl, and you're gonna wanna grease the bowl. The reason you're gonna wanna grease the bowl is because you're gonna lay your dough in here, and then I'm gonna put a towel over it, and then I'm gonna put it in a warm place. So what I like to do, because I don't like to keep anything really warm because then it heats up the house, I'll turn on my griddle on my kitchen over here in my stovetop. I'll turn it on. I'll let the pan get a little warm, and then I'll turn it off, and then I'll place my bowl on top so the heat can start surrounding the bowl, and then with the towel over it, it'll start rising. You're gonna let this rise for about 20 minutes. So within that 20-minute time, I'm gonna go ahead and clean up a little bit, let it rise for about 20 minutes, and then we'll go ahead and move on to the next step. Again, so I'm gonna let my griddle here heat up a little bit. That way it has a nice warm surface to stay on. I'm gonna go ahead and clean up this a little bit. If you do not have a rag at home, you can get a piece of paper towel, a few pieces of paper towel, and then you can go ahead and wet it and then just squeeze out all the water. You're gonna wanna put this on top just so that you can go ahead and get that moisture from the water of the damp cloth. You don't want the top of your pizza dough to dry out. So you can, if you don't have a rag, you can go ahead and use paper towels as long as it's nice and damp. I went ahead and placed that over my thing. I'm gonna give it about 20 minutes. With you, of course, you would give it 20 minutes. I'm gonna give it probably like 5 minutes. It'll still work. I'm just gonna clean up my surface here, get it prepped to start rolling it out. Alright, so what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to start prepping my table down. I'm going to put a little bit of flour on my countertop to roll out my pizza dough. I am going to use a roller. If you are part of Camp Puga, you probably already have gotten a roller. If not, you're more than welcome to use a bottle, a wine bottle, a glass, a Coke. You don't want to mix this too much because it's probably going to pop. But there's a lot of things that you can actually use to start rolling out your dough. Doesn't actually have to be a rolling pin. If you are a part of Camp Puga, though, I'm pretty sure at this point you've invested into getting a rolling pin, which is great. So after about 10 minutes, your dough is going to grow about double the size. Of course, mine was really quick, but for video purposes, we're going to go ahead and move on. It's still going to work out the same exact way. So I am going to flour or dust the top and bottom of my dough here. I'm going to go ahead and roll it out. So what I like to do is I like to get my pizza pan that I'm going to use. And what I like to do is I like to put my pizza pan down like this. And if I have floured enough of the surface, I can go ahead and draw the circle of how big my pan is. So when I'm rolling this out, I know I have to roll it out to that size to know that I'll get it perfectly for my pan. So I'm going to go ahead and I made my circle, and you can actually see it right here. You can see the circle that I've drawn. I'm going to go ahead and roll this out. So I'm going to roll it a little bit on one side. Now you will see that when you roll it, it's going to start coming back together. That's the gluten in the crust that it's kind of coming together. That's okay. You just need to work a little bit more. The bigger the pizza is, the harder it's going to be, but it's very doable. Okay, so I got it pretty long here. I'm sure if I go like this, yep, that's the size I need it this way. Now I need to go this way. So I'm going to start rolling it out. Now remember, as always, and I always tell you on Camp Puga, doesn't have to be a circle. If you want it to be a circle, that's okay. We don't believe in food has to be the exact shape that it should always be. You're more than welcome to be as free as you want and do any shape you like. Kind of what I go for. You can make it a little bit thicker. Just remember that you are gonna have to cook it for a longer time. I'm gonna go ahead and get my pan here. I did roll it out, as you can see, a lot bigger than I should have, which is okay. What I'm going to go ahead and do for visual purposes is I'm going to go ahead and trim this down to the exact size my pizza pan is, just for picture purposes. We always like a good picture around here. So you can go ahead and kind of bring this together. You can make a smaller pizza if you want. You can go ahead and make a pizza pocket if you want. There's a lot of things you can do with that. So I went ahead and cut out my pizza crust. It looks great. What I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm gonna fold this over like this. Fold this over like this. This is gonna help me pick it up so I'm not tearing it and it stays exactly as beautiful as I want it to be. And the way I picked it up is the same way I'm going to go ahead and place it down. So I'm going to put 1/4 down, turn it into a half, and then bring that half back down. As you can see, it's a little bit smaller than the pan. That is because, of course, the gluten, like I said earlier, will start to shrink the pizza a little bit. So all you have to do with that is, because it's already the shape, you can go ahead and tug on it a little bit and it'll go back to its original size. You don't have to do this if you don't want to. You can keep it the size it was. Again, whatever you feel like doing will work. This is really cool that a year ago we were making it from pretty much a pre-made, and now we're making it from scratch. So, all right, so I have my pizza crust here. Before I start adding anything on top of my pizza crust, I am going to make my edges. So the reason you want to make your edges, you can keep it flat if you want. You have to just be very careful when you're adding your pizza sauce, because you do want to, you don't want to get it off on the edges and then it runs. I like to put a nice presentation on it, so I am going to add a crust to it. An edge. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm gonna go ahead and teach you guys how to do the wave over, kind of like the braid. So what you're gonna wanna do, let me move a little forward. What you're gonna wanna do with this is you're going to want to fold over one of your edges like this, and you're gonna wanna pinch it down. So you're gonna have kind of like a little wave like that with a pinch in the middle. And then once you have that, you're gonna grab one of the other waves and you're gonna fold it right on top of that and pinch it down. So it's gonna start creating that little braid. Once you have the next wave over, you're gonna get that wave and fold it over on top of that previous wave, and you're gonna go ahead and get that wave. So if you can see this, you're getting that little wave that looks like this. All you're doing is pinching over that wave and pressing it over, pinching the wave, pressing it over, pinching the wave, either one. All you're gonna do is you're gonna grab that next piece of wave and you're gonna pinch it down. So you're gonna go ahead and do that all the way around. After you get the hang of it, it kind of goes really quick. Now another really cool thing that you can do is you can go ahead and do what you would call kind of like a stuffed crust. So if I wanted to get kind of like cheese, I can get regular cheese or I can get string cheese. I can go ahead and put it all on the edge here and then just fold over a piece of crust and cheese will get stuck in there. And then I would have a stuffed crust cheese. That's pretty much how they do it at the other restaurants. So because I am doing a crust on my pizza, it is gonna shrink, of course, because I'm using the edges, but that's okay with me because it's still a pretty large pizza. Go ahead and keep going. Once you get the motion of the ocean, because you're doing a wave here, it'll go really quickly. So there is one more step you need to follow after you do the crust here before you start adding all of your toppings on here. All right. So I have all my waves over just like that. So if you see, my whole edging has a nice little wave over. Before I put on any of my toppings, what I'm gonna go ahead and do is I am going to make some holes in my dough. So that way when it cooks, it doesn't lift up the dough and it creates those bubbles on my pizza. So kind of like when you go to a Little Caesars or a Peter Piper pizza, you kind of get those kind of huge pimples looking things. That's kind of gross to say. You kind of get the balloon looking things inside of your pizza dough. That is due to not well ventilation within your dough. So if I were to go ahead and put the topping on top just like that, I'm gonna get those little bubbles, kind of like when you cook a tortilla and you start getting those bubbles in there. Same thing. So to avoid that, because I want my pizza to be as flat and pretty as possible, I'm gonna grab a fork here and I'm gonna make a whole bunch of holes on it. I'm just gonna grab it by the edge like this and make this motion. And I'm gonna create a whole bunch of little holes on the bottom of the pizza. What this is gonna allow is this is gonna allow for any bubble that wants to create, there's gonna be a hole there for the air for the inside to release. And I'm gonna get a nice flat pizza. Now, if in case I do get a bubble, there you go, a bubble. It's gonna be a small one, it won't be anything large. And I'm okay with that, because imperfections are beautiful. So I'm gonna do that a lot of times until it seems like it's pretty much well covered at the bottom. All right, this is the time where your pizza is done, and then we're gonna go ahead and start adding our toppings. So let me go ahead and grab some toppings, and then we'll do our toppings together. You are gonna wanna start preheating your oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. So it'll take about 15 minutes to get up to the temperature. Within that 15-minute time frame, you can go ahead and put your toppings on top. So let's go ahead, I'm gonna grab some toppings so we can put the toppings on here together. I got my Ragu sauce, and if you have been part of my channel or done probably a private lesson class, You've already seen how to make red sauce from scratch. It takes a little bit longer and there's a lot more ingredients to it. So you can go ahead and tune in or request a private class so I can teach you how to make red sauce or white sauce from scratch. Today I'm going to use pre-made red sauce. And then I am going to be using some great value mozzarella and some pepperonis. So what we're going to go ahead and do is I'm going to open up my red sauce here. Again, this is a very simple pizza. I'm going to put my red sauce on here like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a spoon. And then I'm going to go ahead and spread out my sauce on top. And since I already have that edge, I can go ahead and put my sauce all the way to the edge, and that little wall is going to protect me from it cooking outwards. You're more than welcome to put as much sauce as you like. Some people like a lot of sauce. Some people don't like sauce much at all. I personally like a good amount of sauce. I don't like there to be seen a lot of dough through mine. So a good amount of sauce is good with me. So you're going to go ahead and just spread that out evenly. All right, just like that. And then I'm going to go ahead and add my cheese. Now, what I like to recommend is for an extra large size cheese, if you're going to do probably 30 of these and you want them to look all as uniformed as possible, I would start with about 2 cups of cheese for the topping. Do your pepperonis and then put a little bit on top so your pepperonis stick really well. If you're doing this just for fun and you want to just make your own, you're more than welcome to add as much cheese as you like. So you're going to want to spread out your cheese evenly amongst all of your pizza. Just like that. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and add some pepperonis. Now, as a chef, you tend to want everything to kind of be equal. So I wanna make sure I put the equal amount, or what would it be, an odd or even? 2, 4, 6 is odds? Evens. So I'm gonna put an even amount of number of pepperonis. That's just the chef in me. So I'm gonna go ahead and start one on this side, 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 one on this side. I'm gonna start with the centers. So I'm gonna put one on that side. Once they get a little cold, it's kind of hard to break them up, but it's possible. One over here, one right here, one right there. Whoops, one here. I could, if I wanted to, I can go ahead and just throw them all over. That's fine as well. Doesn't mean you have to be perfect, but that part of the OCD in me wants them to be perfect. And then I'm gonna go ahead and put 3 in the center like that. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Perfect. 18 pepperonis. Nice, spread out evenly. And I have my pretty pizza here. Made the crust from scratch. I use a little bit of help with pre-made toppings, but it's okay. You're more than welcome to add as many toppings as you like. What I always recommend is don't do an overload of toppings, just because when you go and pick up your crust, it's not gonna pick up well. I mean, you're gonna have things falling off. So the little amount of toppings you can, you're still gonna be able to get that nice pizza lift, and you're gonna get the crust to kind of stay still. You are gonna put it in for about 20 to 25 minutes. The way you're gonna kind of know if it's ready is once you go into the oven to check on it after 25 minutes and you lift one of your sides, the whole pizza is gonna kind of come up. Also, some people like their crust a little bit more crunchier than others. About 25 minutes will give you that perfect crust consistency. You can go for a little bit 5 more minutes and you can get your crust a little bit darker. At that point, it's gonna be up to your taste or whatever you want it to look like, but 25 minutes is gonna give you that exact pizza crust you're looking for. So I'm gonna go ahead and stick this into the oven. I'll make sure to post pictures of what it looks like, and hope you guys have a wonderful Easter. I wanted to post this again previously, that way you guys get a chance to do it. I don't wanna interrupt any of your family Easter time. Do remember we have an event coming up May 22nd, family time with Campeggia. We will be giving away about 400 meals. We are officially sponsored by Jimmy Ortega and Water and Flood Removal, so we want to thank them for joining in and being a sponsor of this video itself as well. So thank you so much. We appreciate your time. We thank you to our sponsors, and we look forward to seeing you next week as we embark on our new journey of Italy. Have a good one, guys.